Hey there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back. I'm your host, PattSun, and today we're gonna be taking a look at r/infidelity, where OP's fiance had a very obvious affair with her boss. Let's begin. She is my child, posted by Reddit user SwiftFuckedMind.
Heads up, it's going to be a long one. Back in 2015, my family started a retail business. I worked as a cashier there. We had a little lounge area where regulars would visit and hang out. While working there, a couple of regulars of mine had got to know me personally. They learned that I was single and looking. They showed me a picture of their roommate. She was 18 at the time, and I was 21. That's where it all started. Let's name the 18-year-old girlfriend Ray, and I'll be going by the name Todd. I hung out with Ray a few times, and we started dating each other. About 1 year into the relationship, she got pregnant, so we moved in a little apartment together. There, we raised our child and had our perfect little family. She got pregnant with our youngest child 2 years later. I had completely fallen head over heels over Ray. She was perfect in every single way, and she was totally into me as well. So I worked my ass off at my $12 an hour retail job and got her a ring. She said yes. After our engagement, things started speeding up, and our lives just kept getting better and better. I was promoted to the general manager of the store and even bought stocks in it, making me a part owner. The family business was booming. We opened up another 2 stores in our town and a distribution center as well. My mother, the boss of the company, had hired my fiancé as a helping hand in this distribution center. Both my mother and fiancé became really good friends. My sister even worked in the distro, and my sister and fiancé became best of friends. In our store, we sell consumable products and devices to use the products. So our goal was to find and partner with a company that made the consumable products. We have this giant warehouse that they can make the products in, so it seemed like a perfect idea. My mother and my fiancé went to a few conventions around the country, trying to find the perfect partners, and they found them. 2 guys that made killer products. I'm naming them Chad and Tom. Their current setup at the time was just in the back of another person's shop. They didn't have the money to up and move cities, nor get an entire lab set up, so we fronted them the money to move everything and build their lab in our distro. This is 2019 at this time. Right around the time we found out my ex was pregnant with our second child. Sorry for the back and forth. A lot happened. Both Chad and Tom were great guys. They're funny, smart, and really good at making the product we sold. Their product exploded with popularity in our city, and so they needed an extra hand to help them make the product. So they hired my fiancée. She stopped working for our company and moved over to theirs. It made sense to us. They paid more, and it was still in the same building. She started making just a few short dollars an hour, and then I did, making our combined income over 100 grand a year. So we bought a house, got a new car, something safer to drive the kids around in. Our house we purchased happened to be a block away from Chad and Tom's house. They lived together. Ray became really good friends with Tom. After work, Tom would drive her home and stop in the house, and we 3 would hang out and smoke weed and drink. Nothing crazy, just all casual. We weren't getting slammed or anything. Eventually, I got tired of the same day everything. I didn't like drinking daily after work, nor did I like hanging out with anyone. I just wanted to go home and relax. I told Ray my feelings, and she understood. So the hangouts daily calmed down. Then I noticed she would always be texting Tom. Now I'm not a jealous guy or anything. I get flattered over people saying my girlfriend is hot, and I wasn't bothered by any clothing she would choose to wear, even if it was revealing. But something about her texting Tom every day and night bothered me. I asked Ray if she had any feelings for Tom, and she said she didn't. So I dropped the subject. Years went by, and we were talking 2019 to 2022 of every day she would talk to this dude, even on days off. He was coming to every event we hosted. Eventually, Tom just started coming over every night again, and since I had stopped inquiring about Ray's feelings towards Tom, she had felt that was okay. Now some backstory on Tom and Chad. Both guys were a lot older than me and Ray. They were best friends with my parents and closer to my parents' age than our age. During these 3 years, Tom slowly stopped talking or trying to hang out with my parents. It would only be Chad. However, these guys were such good friends with my parents that they attended all of our family events. All right, the stage is set. So every day Tom came over, I would sit in the basement, watching anime or playing video games. Every now and then, they would join me in the basement for a hoot, but mostly they stuck to the main floor. Again, 3 years of this. So I grew restless and got bitter. Felt like I was alone every night. Half of the week I would sleep in the basement while my fiancé had the whole bed to herself. People started to notice things and would come to me and her with accusations. Bro, she hugs Tom for way too long. Why do you let her hang out with him all the time? Stuff like that. This was coming from everyone, from her family to mine and our common friends. So in 2022, I started confronting her about Tom more and more. But I would say things like, I know you aren't cheating on me, so just to put my mind at ease, do you think you could hang out with Tom just a little bit less, couple times a week instead of daily? That would always start a fight. So it started making her avoid telling me anything about Tom. She would just make sure she would never say his name, but that made things so much worse. She had attended a bachelorette while I was out of town one night. To my understanding, there would only be girls at this party. To my surprise, I found out from my sister that also attended that Tom had made an appearance and hung there for an hour before driving my fiancé home. I didn't confront her about it right away. I just asked how the party went and was just hoping she would mention him. Not once did she until I confronted her. The convo went kind of like this. So how was the party? It was great. I got so drunk. Who all showed up? Names people off excluding Tom. Weird that you didn't mention Tom because my sis says he drove you home last night. Oh yeah, I didn't mention him because he didn't hang out or anything. Again, weird because my sis says he hung out for an hour or longer before you guys left. Bam. Big fight starts. She starts telling me that I don't trust her, and if I don't trust her, then why am I even with her? All that jazz. The next day, and of course Tom is over, they are drinking and getting high, and I'm in the basement. It's like nothing happened. It's not like we almost didn't break up because of the same dude that you're tipping it back with right now. Whatever. I stuck it out. Then, 2022, December 21st, I get the phone call that confirms it all for me. My mother calls me sad and says, I don't want to start anything. I'll let you decide what you want to do. But can you please rewind the cameras in distro to this time today, and you'll understand what I mean. So sitting in my basement alone, logging into the cameras, and my heart is racing. What am I about to see? At first, all I see is Ray and Tom just hanging out by the counters. Everyone else has clocked out that day, so it's just them. While she is trying to put on her shoe, she laughs and puts her foot on Tom's chest. She is sitting in a tall bar stool while Tom is standing there. Tom is kind of just holding her foot and rubbing his hand on the lower part of her leg. She's kind of just feeling his chest with her foot. They laugh. She puts her shoe on, and they leave. I'm in shock. What do I think or do? Is this cheating? They didn't really do anything, but WTF. It was weird. One point in the video he had kissed her foot, and I just sit in silence for about an hour. My thoughts are going crazy, and sitting there and think, no, fuck it. She knows how I feel about this guy. This isn't something she would do in front of me. So later that night, while Tom wasn't around, I sat down with my fiancé. I asked her if she had her foot on Tom's chest, and she denied it. So I showed her the video, and she tried to laugh it off, saying it was nothing, but that caused me to snap. That was our biggest fight we had, and in the end of it, I broke up with her. It wasn't about the cheating part that got me. It was that she lied to me when I asked about her foot on his chest. I thought maybe she would fight for me, tell me not to do this, something along those lines. We were engaged, had 2 kids, a new house, spent over a third of our lives together, but nope, no trying at all. I started getting floods of messages from friends and family, from both her and my side. Why did you break up with her? She is trying. Why aren't you? And I was just dumbfounded. We still live together, and we have 2 children that are eagerly waiting for Christmas in a few days, so we couldn't really just move or anything. So we just decided to live in the same house. I stay in the basement because, well, I've been there for 3 years already at this point. But getting all the messages from everyone made me believe that she actually wanted to fight for me. So I tried to make things better, but it just started a fight. She kept bringing up that I thought she cheated on me, but I kept trying to say no, it was because you lied to me. Something about her constantly trying to reassure she didn't cheat made me think. I have this camera access, and I only saw 10 minutes of one day. I can rewind up to a month. So I spent 16 hours straight on December 23rd till the 24th looking at security cameras. I don't know if anyone has ever tried that before, but you can't really speed anything past 2x because then you can't really see anything. So I was actually watching full entire days of work and seaming through the past month of footage. What I had found was crazy. She was definitely cheating on me, and I had caught her in 4K. Every day for that past month, they would sneak into a part that they thought the cameras didn't see and make out. They would be putting hands under cloths, and even one time I saw him pull her pants down and stick his face in her ass. You could see me standing 10 feet away from them when that happened. They were so brave just to do stuff like that while there were so many people there. I was heartbroken and going insane. I immediately logged into her Facebook secretly and started going through their messages. Nothing showing they were cheating, but there was deleted messages. They also both had an iPhone, so I had no access to their iMessages via my PC. While I was surfing her FB messages, I heard her walk in the door upstairs, and I yelled out, "You fucking slut!" And she stormed down the stairs and started yelling at me. I said I saw you kiss him on camera and showed her one of the screenshots I took, and then I said to her, "You said you did nothing with him." She stopped yelling and said, "Well, you didn't ask if we kissed." I lost it and punched 2 big holes in my wall. That's when I realized my 2 kids and babysitter standing at the top of that stairs and ran past them and took off, hopped in the truck, and drove to Tom's house. I held my knife in my hand and had considered running into the house and stabbing him. Instead, I put the knife down and drove to my mom's house, to which after I got there, I experienced my first anxiety attack. Felt like my chest was ripping open and I couldn't breathe for a solid 5 minutes. My mom was throwing water on my face and she said I went blue. Later on after Christmas, my ex and I finally talked. She told me it was only once and she was so sorry, and that's when I showed her the month worth of videos I had. That shut her lying ass up really fast. I also confronted Tom and told Chad what he had done. Chad lost his shit on Tom and was on my side of things. In all this drama, I had talked to Tom and his girlfriend. Oh, I didn't mention. Yup, of course he had a girlfriend during this all. They dated long distance, but broke up a year before I found out, and I never knew why. While talking to her, I found out more info. I learned that over a year before I found out, she had confronted both of them, to which they just called her crazy and that nothing was going on. But she had messages that said otherwise. While talking to her, I was keeping an eye on my ex's FB and started seeing her send nudes to this guy, and they were talking about having a secret house that they hung out at. That's what got me thinking more. She met this guy back in 2019 in a different city, right around the same time she got pregnant with our second child. Now I'm brown, Hispanic, and she is brown, Native American. Our first child was really brown. However, our second child is insanely white, with blue eyes and blonde hair, just like Tom. Now fearing the worst and not knowing what I should do, I did a DNA test. I remember asking my youngest daughter, 4 at the time, to come over to me, then trying to convince her to put the swab in her nose and mouth. She was crying and was scared, and I don't blame her, because I was also crying, doing this. I got the results back a week later, and I couldn't for the life of me open the letter. I just couldn't, so I asked my mom to, and from what I could see, she had a surprised look on her face and said, "You are the father." A weight lifted off me, and I was thanking God, even though I'm not religious at all. This was a year ago. I never actually saw the results myself. My mother didn't give them to me. After prying and prying at my ex, I learned that she was having a secret relationship with him for over a year. I think it was longer, but I have zero proof otherwise. She only ever was honest about the things she was actually caught for. To this day, she still says they never had boinked. But come on, I saw him stick his face in your ass, and I saw you send him nudes. Who does that if you haven't boinked? For the past year, I've been to counseling and therapy. I'm now diagnosed with depression and anxiety. Before I got fully medicated, I was having severe anxiety attacks daily, 3 times a day most of the time. I was let go from work because I would have the attacks there. So living on government assistance in a house that cost way too much for myself, she moved out. Shortly after our breakup, I found out that Tom was sleeping with 3 other girls, including my ex, one of which was Chad's sister. Chad's sister had literally just moved into their house the same month this was all going down. All of the drama made Ray and Tom actually break up because everyone was on their shit, and turns out they didn't actually like each other. They just wanted to fuck around behind people's back. My kids live with both me and my ex 50-50. And today I found out from my oldest daughter that Chad, not the homewrecker, but the guy that was on my side and hated Tom for what he did to my family, is now hanging out every day with my ex. Just this past weekend, my two daughters, my ex and Chad, all stayed in a hotel together. Chad is still an insanely good friend of my parents, but I don't think they know the extent of my ex and his relationship right now. The advice I'm looking for is, how do I stop thinking about all of this? My idle thoughts are just them cheating. I can never get them out of my mind. I haven't been able to date anyone because of this. I'm too emotionally broken to even attempt new friendships. I really don't trust anyone anymore. It's been over a year, and just hearing that Chad is hanging out with her and staying in a hotel with them is fucking me up. Do I do another DNA test, or just trust my mom? The other advice is, should I confront Chad? He was huge help with my recovering process. He held me up while I was crying, hugged me while I was having anxiety attacks. This guy knows the whole story. Help, guys. I'm actually desperate. I'll answer any questions. Thanks for reading. Sorry again for it being so long. Short update. Hey guys, long time no talk. I just wanted to give a few updates on the whole process. You can click on my profile and see all the old posts from months ago to get caught up if you'd like. It's a long read. You've been warned. After months of uncertainty, I have finally gotten a hold of my youngest DNA test results. She's 99.9% my child. I cannot describe the amount of relief that has given me. It took a lot of inner strength to look at the results. The fear had consumed me. In other news, Tom's company has left our city earlier this month. I no longer have to see him all the time. My ex and I are still co-parenting our two children. We both still own our house together, and she has tried on multiple occasions to be removed off the title. The process is confusing and might force me to sell the house, though. I'm going to be on Reddit for the next few days to answer any questions anyone might have.
Wow, even with all the overwhelming evidence that you have, you chose to do nothing. You just whine and self-pity to the point of getting let go of your position. And for some weird reason, you are still friends with one of your ex's possible past affair partners. Very pathetic, OP. Anyways, since OP mentioned that he will be answering some of the comments, let's go over some of the more interesting ones. But unfortunately, just like his long and winded post, we only got this one with no real resolution, just more excuses and whining. Well, at least this comment is the only one that answered one of our questions.
Update on you and your ex? Do you think doing something as revenge? She got away with it without any problem. I'll reply to all your comments here. My ex was very unapologetic. Once she was caught, she changed to a completely different person compared to the person I had known for the past 7 years. Currently, her and I are co-parenting with our two kids. She rents a basement suite, and I live in the house that we own together. We only talk if it involves the kids. Other than that, my ex and I have zero contact. Revenge? As satisfying as something like that could be, I probably won't do anything. I'm focusing on myself. I want to grow from my experiences and move on from the whole incident.
Viewer support is the best way for me to remain independent and continue bringing you these daily videos, which will always be here on my channels for you to watch absolutely free. So please consider subscribing to me on Rumble and on YouTube. Both will be linked in the description box down below. Thanks for listening, everyone. If you even somewhat enjoyed today's story, make sure to give this video a thumbs up, and if you really like it, consider subscribing to PattSun to never miss a future upload. Stay strong.